Hey everybody, this is Chris with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break, a short episode meant to give you some insights and tips for your career that will, be helpful and get you ahead and make life a little bit easier for you as a barista or manager or wherever you happen to find yourself. Today's episode is brought to you by Square Payroll. I mentioned management, and it's something that I'm very familiar with. And if you're in management, you know that you're getting pulled in all different directions when you're in charge of people and the operations of a shop. The paperwork and administrative side of the job needs to get done in the midst of all of the coffee and people work that you do. And having great tools to help you make that an easier process is critical. And that's why I'm pleased to announce the new Square Payroll app. It can do anything you can do on a desktop, from setting up an account to paying your team. It is fully integrated with Square for payments, time cards, even tips. And Square can even take care of your tax withholdings, payments, and filings automatically at no extra cost. And best of all, they have flexible and transparent pricing that scales with your business. It's just $29 per month, plus $5 per employee per month. And all you have to do is search Square Payroll in the Apple iTunes or Google Play app stores to download the app. Or you can go visit square.com/go/keys. That's square.com/go/keys, as in keys to the shop. So I encourage you to download the app and see how this can make payroll an easier process for you. And my thanks to Square for their support of Keys to the Shop. All right, so today I want to talk about one of my favorite subjects. It's my favorite thing to do when I'm on bar. I'm always doing this. I just had my own 6-month review over at Quill's as a barista, which was thrilling. And he is always cleaning something or wiping down something. And I forget the exact wording, but it had to do with cleaning things, as one of the notes put on the margin of the review. So this is something that I really take seriously, and I feel it contributes to the specialty part of specialty coffee when you're in a cafe environment. People want to come into a place where they feel comfortable, where they feel like they're not going to accidentally step in something or plop their purse down on the counter and pick it back up and have it stick to the counter because of syrup or whatever it is. We can always do better when it comes to cleaning on bar. And in particular, we can do better when it comes to actually doing the work of cleaning while we work, not pushing it off to an hour before close. Not just waiting until the rush is done and then cleaning up, because usually, as well as I do, that little period of a lull is often just short enough for you to get started doing something and not finish it. And it just adds to the frustration. So changing the way you look at cleaning on the bar, I think, is one of the things we want to talk about today. We already talked about why it's important. People eat with their eyes, and the cleanliness of your bar when there's a lot of people around, when it's the busiest, is of the utmost importance. This is also important for your peace of mind. I don't care if you are a messy barista, quote unquote, or if you take pride in piles of grounds. It's kind of a 2005 attitude towards barista work. We were all kind of messy back then, I think, somewhat celebrated as Spro slingers and all this other stuff. And I think we graduated past that level now. And, even if you have that attitude, you have to admit, when you walk into a clean bar or you walk onto somebody else's bar that's cleaner than you, it feels better. You have a clearer mind and you can do your job with much more ease, speed, and quality. It also helps the flow of business. If you're constantly bothered in your mind with whether or not you have time to clean up this mess or that mess, if you're constantly having to look out for things that are spilled on the floor or on the counter, or you even have to remake a drink because the bar is such a mess that you got things mixed up, this is going to get in the way of the flow, and it's going to affect the way people perceive what you can handle in your business as far as numbers of orders. Having a clean bar is one of the ways that you let people know that you are able to handle their business. A lot of our cafes suffer from a lack of foot traffic when people kind of subconsciously register that the people on bar, they're just so nervous and so stressed out all the time, it kind of makes them not want to go. And they end up thinking, well, I don't want to take a large group because that would just make their head explode at that bar because they can't even handle a mild rush or they can't handle a little bit of business. So some of this is covered in the Crushing the Rush episode, but I want to go over quickly some ways that you can work clean behind the bar. First of all, you've got to know where everything goes and that you are stocked and ready. You've got to have your cleaning implements stocked and ready as well. That means you've got to have towels, spray bottles, brushes, ready to go. If you have a mix of different towels for chrome, like microfiber, and then terry cloth towels for absorbent spills, know where those are, where they go, and what their use is. If you don't know what things are and where they go in the bar, you need to have a plan. You need to employ the idea that restaurants have, that chefs have, called mise en place. That's everything in its place. It's French, and I didn't pronounce it in a French way. Mise en place is everything in its place, getting ready for service. So where's your tamper go? Where the towels go? Do you have enough of the implements needed to actually make the drinks well, and of the implements needed to clean as you go? That brings us to our next thing. Cleaning as you go is all about taking about 10 seconds of time out of every customer's order to clean the bar from that customer's order and in preparation for the order following. You're always borrowing bits of time as sort of a tax on the order, or maybe it's like a savings account. You put money away and eventually it accrues interest. And at the end of the shift, if you've taken little bits of time and squirreled them away and cleaned, you're going to look at a clean bar, even though you did a ton of business. That's one of the most thrilling things for me, is doing a lot of business where you feel like, oh man, I'm so tired. But looking at your bar and it's super clean, that's really satisfying. And I think it's satisfying for customers to watch that efficiency as well. The other thing is you always have to have your head on a swivel. As my friend Jesse Harriet, he's the roaster at Copper Horse Coffee Roasters up in Brooktondale, New York, he always says, have your head on a swivel. So you're always looking around. In fact, I'm barely ever looking people in the eye when I'm talking to them on bar, my coworkers, that is, because my head is all over the place looking for customers that are kind of edging up to the bar, looking for spills, looking for things that I need to do to keep this bar working. That is our job, is to always be sensitive to the peripheral needs that will overwhelm us if we are not aware of them. So have your head on a swivel. Now, the other thing about having your head on a swivel is you've got to make the small things bother you. If you don't let small things bother you, eventually small things will build into big things and they will stop you altogether. That pile of coffee grounds will start bleeding over to a section of the bar where it starts to get on the bottom of cups, and your hands start to get dirty because of it. Your hand starts to get fingerprints on the cups, and now you've got to kind of go back in time and take care of this big mess that could have just been taken care of by sweeping up a tiny bit of ground. Remember, taking that 10 seconds to clean up as you go. If you're doing that for every order, or even every set of orders that you're doing, then you're going to be able to stay on top of it. I like to think of it like this. I want to train myself to look at messes on the bar, little messes, like a sibling with their finger kind of real close to the eyeball saying, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. And it's so annoying. I just want to get it away. I want to be annoyed by these things so that it drives me to take care of them. And that brings us to the last thing about working clean, and that is working clean needs to be a cultural expectation of your bar. It's not good enough to have one person who is, they're really clean on bar, and everyone gets the benefit of taking the shift after their close, or the closing shift after they've cleaned the bar from a busy opening shift. It definitely is not fair, and it breeds a lot of resentment. Your whole staff need to have an expectation that they're going to work a clean bar. And if that's not the case, we need to come up with ways where we can make a clean bar, even when it's busy. So that is my mind on working clean. This is definitely something you can do. You just need to make it a constant practice in little bits throughout the entire shift and not pushed off to the very ends of the shift, because these things, when they build up, they create a perception of chaos. They create an emotion of stress and chaos. And ultimately, that there's not very much that specialty about that experience. So let's make our bars especially clean for specialty coffee and work clean as professionals. So that's all I have for you today. On this shift break, my challenge to you, get at least 10% cleaner on your bar starting tomorrow. Look for ways to innovate being a cleaner barista. If you're a manager, look for ways that you could make having a very clean bar a cultural institution in your cafe. Codify it. Make it a standard operating procedure. But make it an expectation. And you'll see operations will become smoother, and you're going to feel better about producing those great coffee drinks. So thank you for joining me on this episode. I look forward to meeting back with you next week on another edition of Shift Break, from Keys to the Shop.